Hello, welcome to my channel. My channel is called Serenity and Strength, and in it, I cover my widowhood journey together with my wellness journey. My name is Joyce Onyango, and I'm recording from Nairobi, Kenya. If you have not watched the earlier episodes, I would kindly request that you do so as to bring yourself up to speed with the storyline, as well as to benefit from some of the lessons that the earlier experiences should have been able to impart. Thank you so much if you have subscribed. If you have not yet subscribed, I ask that you kindly do so. Apart from subscribing, do like, do share, so that as many people as possible can walk on this journey with us. And I'd also request for comments. Those comments could be around your own experiences or whatever you'd like to say. I will share a telephone number where you can either WhatsApp or text when you want to give your own experiences so that they can be shared anonymously. In this particular episode, I am going to continue talking about inheritance because it is a practice which, though it has reduced significantly, it still continues to be perpetrated in some places, particularly rural places. And this is evidenced by a study which was done in 2025, which is fairly recent. As is the practice, there was a clan meeting to resolve matters relating to the family of the deceased. We are the subject for discussion. In those days, unlike today, the estate or property of the deceased was not discussed. The focus was on supporting the widow and the children. This, in most cases, meant the widow had to choose one of the eligible men in the clan to inherit her. The young men were also lined up. With a lot of tact, the clan leader introduced the subject. He said some very lovely things about my husband and the duty of the clan to ensure the children are taken care of. I was then asked to choose from among the 5 or so men lined up as potential suitors. At least 4 of them had no formal education. The other was the younger brother of my husband, whom I had looked after like my own child when we were a young couple. In that short time span, I wondered at how, even with my level of education, the support I had provided for the family and clan, I could still be treated as chattel. Memories of the training that had started on the rights of women dashed through my mind. What can I do? I was here on my own with nobody from my family. I thought about my father who had died. Had he been alive, he probably would have protected me. I had to resist this abuse and violation of my rights, which could affect the rights of my children too. I needed wisdom here. I do not know whether I prayed in my heart or not. What I know is that God gave me wisdom. My response: I would like to thank the elders for their kindness and the wise decision to get someone to take care of me. You elders know me. You also know each of your own sons very well. I would like to request that, with your experience and wisdom, kindly select for me the man you deem fit to inherit me. I, however, have one request. You see that house there, I said, pointing to the house whose construction I had managed? That house was constructed by my husband for me and my children. The only man who stayed in that house was him. Over the years, I now prefer to live in that kind of house. But I will not live in the house my husband built for me and my children with another man. No, I request that after a suitor has been selected for me, he will build another house similar to that one where I will live with him. The one my husband built will be for my children. Boom! That was explosive. There was silence. People grumbled. Others insisted it was their brother's house and they had a right to access it. Does this woman want to bring other men to our home? She is still young. She will not manage living alone. My father-in-law knew I was firm. He brought the meeting to a close. Teacher, as they would refer to me, will stay in her home with her children. I will ensure that the children are taken care of. We shall plow for her and support her to the best of our ability. If one day she decides she wants to be inherited, she will communicate to the clan. Case closed. What I have read is from the book Out of the Ashes, Finding Strength and Resilience. It is a book by a close friend of mine, Monica Emiru Enyao. The book is currently under review and will be republished. And once it is republished, I will let the viewers know where it can be got or how it can be got. But it is interesting that what I read relates to her mother and what happened to her mother in 1975. This took place in eastern Uganda. This is a case that took place 26 years before my own case, and yet you find that there are very many similarities. This is a teacher who had contributed to the welfare of a number of members of the clan, and you can imagine her being considered to be inherited by uneducated relatives of the late husband, simply because she's female and they are male physically. Very demeaning for her. Then you find that also they covet the late clansman's house. She herself took part in the construction and, needless to say, I'm very sure, also contributed in some ways financially. So she is part and parcel of the putting up of that house, but to them, that did not matter at all. They felt they had a right to that house, and in most of the cases that I've heard of, You find that although they say that the main aim is to look after the widow and the children, it is always secondary. You find it's always the property that comes into play, and it is control of the property. And more often than not, the widow and the children are secondary or even third parties in the arrangement. In fact, the widow gets defranchised and is not able to look after the children in the way she would have been able to look after them. She does not even have any part in decisions that are made on the property or on the way forward for the children. Another excuse, which even in her case it was brought up, is that the widow is going to be lonely or that they cannot live alone. And in that particular case, actually, it is their perception. And yet, there are many widows who, after the death of their spouse, continue without getting married and are able to look after the children and do not get into any kind of a relationship. So, this is just a perception. It is a pity that with many of these people, the way of thinking is something that has been molded over the years in the kind of cultural beliefs that were ingrained in them when they were being brought up, the things that they saw going on by their grandparents and their parents, and mainly the males in the family, the way they would treat women, the way they would relate to women, that becomes for them the way that things are supposed to take place or the way that things are supposed to be done. And unfortunately, if the widow allows themselves to be treated in such ways, it's actually to the detriment of herself and her children. And also, you can see that she is a godly person. God put somebody to stand in the gap. So, in all this, being godly is very, very important. God will always stand in the widow's corner. So you need to learn to call on Him, set your mind on Him in whatever is going on. And my favorite, or one of my favorite Psalms that I always talk about is Psalm 121. I look to the mountains, my help comes from my Lord, from the God who made heaven and earth. Then also another verse that is Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, I am with you. Do not be anxious. I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my victorious right hand. And he will indeed always uphold you. At that point in time, and this was in Uganda, HIV/AIDS was not prominent. The first person who came out publicly to talk about HIV/AIDS was in 1989, and that is 14 years after this particular incident, and that was Philly Lutaya. He acknowledged his particular circumstance, and he actually brought to light a lot of things to do with HIV/AIDS. At least for her, thank God, HIV was not a consideration at that point in time, but nevertheless, her dignity, her wellness as a person, her wholeness as an individual, and the welfare of her children was what was in play, and she was at least able to, with the help of her father in law, make sure that she was able to be in control of that. Kindly subscribe if you have not done so. Do also like, share, and comment. I would really love to hear your comments. Bye. I'll see you in the next.